As always, Ted, kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Not a lot going on out there, but Big 12 Media Days is in full swing, and there's been some stuff come out of there. And one of the things that caught my eye was Iowa State, who I somewhat flew under the radar last year and had an 11-win season. They've got a bunch of really good players, experienced players coming back, and apparently there was a lot of guys on their roster that were highly coveted in the transfer portal, even though they didn't get in the portal. Campbell said that their top 20 guys turned down bigger NIL deals elsewhere to stay at Iowa State. Um, and I think that says a lot about the program that they've run there since Campbell's taken over. Frankly, they develop really well, they recruit really well, and they've got, they're one of those teams across the country that has an identity and their players buy into that. And I think that's a great sign for how good Iowa State may be this year, that they had a lot of guys turn down some big money out there to jump ship, and they all stayed.
So you mentioned what Matt Campbell said. What you said is way better than the way that you phrased it is way better than what Matt Campbell actually said out loud.
You're right. He did not present it well.
He said, quote, I'd say probably our top 20 guys took a pay cut to come back to Iowa State. A lot of those guys had some really good opportunities. That's no, that's not what a pay cut is, Matt.
It makes it sound like they went to their top 20 guys and said, listen, times are tough. We, you know, we need some money to spread around.
I
Could you take a pay cut and stick around?
I I've always enjoyed Matt Campbell. I got to interview him a lot when I was doing Big 12 radio, and he he's a football guy. We always got along very well. But that is not how you phrase that, man.
Right.
I,
That's right.
you say something to the effect of, "Hey, people tried to poach our guys, and we've built such a good culture that they all stayed,
Right.
and we
Correct.
appreciate those guys, and we're gonna take care of them as best we can." Like that's what you say. You don't say our top 20 guys took pay cuts to come back. That's not a
Yeah.
quote you want because on the recruiting trail, like there's going to be coaches sending that to guys that are going head to head with Iowa State for players going, "Uh-oh, you want to take a pay cut there, bud?" Like it's just
Yeah.
it's it's a horrible way to frame what happened there.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It could have been framed better. And to be honest, I haven't seen the clip, so the delivery of it gets lost in translation whenever you're just reading a quote. But yes, he definitely could have presented it in a different manner. I think they're going to be good, though. I really do. I think they're going to be good. I think it's insane that they're playing maybe the most important game in the Big 12 this year, one of the best rivalry games. The first game of the season in Ireland, strange, Farmageddon, but still, I think Iowa State's going to be really good.
I'm with you. I I am always I know Matt Campbell said some goofy stuff over the years.
He wears it on his sleeve.
I I love the intensity. I'm a big fan of the way that he's built that program. And
Yeah,
he stayed, remember, he was at the top of seems like every coaching search list when a bunch of big jobs came open and he stayed there and done it his way. Like he's one of those guys that I'm rooting for. Now that OU's not in the Big 12 and we really have no association with Iowa State anymore. Like he's one of the college football coaches that I'm rooting for. I'm hoping Iowa State has success just because I like the way that he operates and the way that they go about their business there.
hey, he took like everyone knows Kansas as how horrible they were for so long. Iowa State was right there, probably worse than Kansas was. They were the doormat of the Big 12 for a long, long time. And now you do not want to play Iowa State. You know what you're going to get. You are going to get a smash mouth, physical, tough, you know, smart football team that's well prepared every single time you play them. They got great tight ends. They do a good job on the offensive and defensive line. They are the team that you look at on the schedule and say, "Oh my gosh, that's going to be a tough one." And they've had a bunch of missed opportunities and they've lost some games where you thought they were going to win and it was going to turn into a special season for them. They have had those games in those years, but every now and then, I always say it comes in waves, and whenever you get that wave where you've got a big portion of your roster that are experienced, upperclassmen that have played a lot of football, that's whenever it all lines up, and it looks like it's going to be that year. They got a really good quarterback. So I don't know, man. I think Iowa State, that's going to be my pick for team to win the Big 12.
And they retained their top 20 players
Yes.
because those players believe in Iowa State football and the culture that we have. And they believe that we will develop them for the next level as players and as people. Don't say they took pay cuts, Matt.
They turned down big opportunities.
Because they love Iowa State.
Yes.
That's how you say it. You don't say our top 20 players took pay cuts. When I was watching that, I won't
All
lie.
of
I
our
saw
best
that clip
players
and went,
took pay cuts.
yeah. He said, what? Who do you have as your loser of the week?
Well, I got to go back to the Big 12. And while I think there's been a lot of good stuff come out of there,
Just so you know, Big 12 Media Day is going to be like things coming out of Big 12 Media Day is going to be all of winners and losers because both of mine come from Big 12 Media Day as well.
That's good. That's good.
It's the only thing going on in college football.
Well, and that's what happens when you have media days, that's whenever everyone talks about you. And one of the biggest talking points usually is, what's the preseason poll look like? When the media puts together their rankings and all of that stuff, and the Big 12 is nixing the preseason poll. And I thought it was very strange. And the more I read about it, the worse I felt about it. And you hear the quotes. Here's what Yormark said, talking about last year's preseason poll where Arizona State was picked last. I think it hurt Arizona State last year. It set an expectation. So then when you're in that room, whether it's the selection process or not, how do you rank a team that was ranked 16th in their own conference? Whether you can see beyond that or not, I don't know. I can't speak for anyone, but we just felt that it could have disadvantaged Arizona State. Well, it didn't. They had a bye in the playoff last year, right? There was no effect. It's just maybe he's got a point, but if anyone on the committee that's picking teams for the playoff, after watching a full season of football, who someone beat, who they lost to, how they played, how they're coached, if they're going back to look at a preseason poll to see what someone thought of them before the season as a criteria to get into the playoff, those people need to be removed.
Yes, correct.
That's ridiculous.
Did you see what Kenny Dillingham said about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't care what people put us.
I love that guy more and more. The more he talks, the more I like him. That's typically not the case with people.
Congrats, Kitty Dillingham.
That's right.
I I just assumed that Yormark does not respect the content business. That's the only explanation I can come up with as to why you would eliminate the preseason media poll.
Right.
Why does he hate content, Ted? That does he have any idea how many people usually get mileage out of that poll?
That this is your time where everyone's talking about you. And people will it's not like nobody takes the media poll as gospel. Everyone complains about it, right? How could you have this team ranked here? What are they thinking ranking this team here? That's what you want. That you want everyone in the country talking about your teams. And here's the other thing I thought of. Why does your mark or the conference they can't tell the media whether they could do a poll or not, right?
It Yeah, I mean it does feel like, wait, why can't we just do what we've always done and release it ourselves? It
Right.
may not have the Big 12 official letterhead on it. That's fine.
Right. Right. I don't that's one thing I looked at. I was like, interesting. Telling the media what they can and can't do and where that they can't rank your teams.
Big 12 censorship.
Censorship.
I do think that it's silly they're not doing it. And you know who I thought about when I saw it? You remember when Neil Brown told us
Yeah.
that, remember, they got picked last and it was all over their facility.
Yes.
There are
They
coaches
had
out
a hell
there.
of a year.
Yeah, there are coaches out there going, Brett Yormark, come on, man. I need that fuel for my team. I know that we would have gotten picked in a poor position in the poll. Like, I need that fuel to use to motivate my team. Coaches want anything they can use to motivate their team. And Brett Yormark has robbed them of this, of that fuel, by not allowing the media poll to take place. It's silly. I'm sure there are a couple coaches that go, this is ridiculous. What's he doing? I need this.
Yeah. No coach has ever said, look, guys, you were picked number one or number two in the preseason poll. Our work's done. All right. We've got nothing to worry about. The hay's in the barn. We're good. But every coach has said, look how horrible everyone thinks we are. Right. It's like, please pick us low. That's what we need. We don't want the rat poison, as Saban would say. It's funny.
So just to recap, Brett Yormark, who by the way is going to be my winner of the week, hates content creation and doesn't want to help coaches motivate their football teams. What kind of commissioner is he? What's going on here?
I don't know. Did I also see that the Big Ten is doing away with it also?
Maybe I don't really care about preseason polls, but I
Right.
do like them. I do think they're fun. It's part of college football.
It gives you a baseline to have a discussion and to scrutinize and to, you know, say where you think it should be different, where you think they're right, where, you know, who's the team that could really surprise, who's the team that has the biggest chance to disappoint. It's it's content creation, as you said.
The I will be shocked and disappointed if there's not an SEC preseason poll, because the main reason you do it is for people to talk about your conference. It's a good thing. Like there's I I don't think the preseason poll, despite what Yormark said, like it's not going to be used against anyone in the long run. That's kind of a ridiculous thing to say. The more I think about it,
Right.
but and I know they're doing seeding differently and everything, but just if you have a great enough season, you're going to end up getting seeded the proper place. So all you're doing is taking away from people talking about your league. But here
I
we are talking about them not doing it. So maybe, I don't know,
hey,
maybe job well done. I don't know.
I'm sitting here thinking, and I don't know if you like to live dangerously or not, but what if we went rogue and did a Big 12 preseason poll ourselves? Are we
I'm
in
sure
danger?
someone's already done it.
You think we're in danger of getting ripped off the air, YouTube censored?
I don't know. Your Mark knows some powerful people.
I know. I know it. Just call it the Big 12 preseason media poll and put it out there. We're media.
Put the official letterhead on it, like really lean into it. But actually, we've talked to all the Big 12 media, and here you go. And we're going to slap the logo on it. I'm sure someone's going to do that if they haven't done it already.
All right. That's funny.
All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first, three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go. And go to opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED for 10% off our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's opolisclothing.com and use promo code TED. Buttery soft and 10% off.
And guys, it's time to make the switch to the Ridge wallet. Go to ridge.com, use promo code OK Breakdown at checkout for 10% off your order. The days of the super fat wallet that hurts to sit on are over. Make the switch to this sleek, modern design. Can hold up to 12 cards and cash. Look at that. It's got that little elastic thingy on it that holds everything nice and secure. And Ridge has over 50 colors and styles to choose from. And Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all their products. And it's literally the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. And Ridge wallets have the RFID blocking technology on there as well that keeps you safe from all the digital pickpocketers out there. And again, get 10% off at ridge.com when you use code OKBreakdown at checkout. That's ridge.com, code OKBreakdown for 10% off. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support us, support our show, and tell them we sent you.
For my winner of the week, thought about going with Chet Holmgren. Just came out. 5-year max rookie extension for Chet Holmgren that could reach up to $250 million.
I love it. Young man's making some money. Happy for him.
I think since he hasn't, I think him signing this now instead of waiting to see if he made All NBA or if he got like Defensive Player of the Year or something like that, and signing the rookie Supermax extension, I guess you could say technically he may have left money on the table if he ends up having that type of season. But with the injury issues he's had, I'm sure they said, "Hey, Chet, we're offering you the regular max." He probably said, "That sounds good. Where do I sign, Sam?"
I like it. Yeah, I think it's awesome. They're starting to lock up a lot of guys for the future. I mean, that's been one of the concerns that people have talked about. They're going to be able to keep everyone together. Well, they're doing a really good job so far. I love that. I don't know who it was, but someone posted this video where someone was asking Chet if he could like build a super team in the NBA, who would he pick? And he just picked all of the Thunder guys. It was pretty awesome. I loved that.
So you've got Shea. He signed his Supermax extension. Now you've got Chet signing his max. You would assume the J-Dub news is coming soon.
Yep.
So
that'd be awesome.
It is a very exciting time to be a Thunder fan. Very, very exciting. Now, my winner of the week, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. Ted, I do, whether you agree with him or don't agree with him, the guy always makes a splash at Media Day.
He does.
He's always comes out, and there's a couple of headlines where you go, okay, these are fun to talk about for us. And One thing I respect about it, like he just continues to, without mentioning Tony Petiti in the Big Ten, he just continues to go after them. Here's the quote: "We continue to believe the 5+11 model is the right playoff format. We want to earn it on the field. We do not need a professional model. We are not the NFL. We are college football, and we must act like it." He also added, 511 is fair. It may not be the best solution today for the Big 12, but long term, it's the right format for us. I'll double down on it. I'm sure Jim Phillips and other conference commissioners will as well. Remember, the Big Ten wants the, what was it? 4-4-2-2 plus 3? Is that the math equation?
Is that right? Yeah, maybe.
No. 4 4
Four,
2 2 1 plus 3.
2-2-1 plus 3. Yeah.
This is why it's a ridiculous format. But I do think Yormark is being really smart by saying, hey, this isn't the thing that's the best for my conference, but it's the best in the long run for the sport. Almost saying anyone that doesn't agree with that doesn't have the best interests of the sport at heart. And I don't know, it feels to me like he is kind of making the Big Ten look like a bully if they continue to push for all the automatic qualifier stuff, which I think is interesting because the SEC has kind of they've already come over to that side of things. It seems like he's just isolating the Big Ten and saying, hey, everyone, this is the group that's pushing the wrong things. We want what's best for the sport, even though it's not best for us. I don't know. I just think I think it's a good tactic.
It is a good tactic. And frankly, I agree with him. We just disagree on the timeline. He says it may not be the best solution for the Big 12 today, but long term it's the right format. I I disagree. I think it's not the best solution for the Big 12 permanently. The 5+11, where you just are guaranteed the one team. Um, guaranteeing yourself two teams in every year, that's not bad. I I I would say this year, I there are probably a one bid team, and I would say for the foreseeable future, that's probably how it's going to look. I could be wrong about that, and maybe there's some years where they get. I mean, you have to get three in the 5+11 for it to be better than the other format, and I just don't see that ever happening.
There's a trade-off though. And it's something that we've talked about, 511 verse 4-4-2-2-1 plus 3. In the 4-4-2-2-1 plus 3 model, you are admitting you are inferior to the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah.
How you quantify that, I don't really know. Like what that means for you as a conference, admitting like, hey, this team, they deserve more teams than our league. I I don't think the Big 12 and the ACC want to do that. So they're framing it however they have to frame it to say, you know what, 511 is the model we like.
Yeah.
Are there going to be years where they don't get two in? Absolutely. We just watched it. Arizona State was the only Big 12 team in last year.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be better to be guaranteed two each year? Probably, but the trade-off is you're saying we are an inferior league. And I don't know what type of effect that would have on the long-term viability of the conference.
Yeah.
So
No,
I don't know.
it's true. The only way, whether it's in the 5+11 or what is it? What's the other one?
4-4-2-2-1 plus 3. Sounds so stupid.
It doesn't matter what the format is. The only way you're going to change people's minds is go win a championship, right? And have a team that wins a championship and is constantly in the mix, on people's radar preseason, talked about as a team that's going to go win a championship. That's the only way you're ever going to change the narrative. And I don't know. We'll see if that happens.
He he did say, quote, I expect the Big 12 to earn multiple college football playoff bids this year. Maybe Brett Yormark does respect the content game because that's not a bit of a spicy take after
Yeah.
they only had one a year ago.
I mean, I guess it's hard to, it never plays out the way people think. Arizona State last year is the perfect example. Um, I honestly don't know really what to expect from the Big 12. I think they're a bit top heavy, but there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe, maybe they will. I don't see it right now, but just got to see how the thing plays out, I guess.
I went and took a look at our buddy Bill Conley's SP Plus ratings right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State's the highest ranked Big 12 team at 18. Arizona State's at 22, Tech at 26, BYU at 27, TCU at 29.
Wow.
Now, a bunch of the teams in front of them in those SP Plus rankings are going to play each other and beat up on each other in the Big Ten and the SEC.
Right.
But it kind of shows you just where the Big 12's at when the highest SP Plus team is all the way down at 18. So if they're going to get multiple teams into the college football playoff this season, some teams are going to have to kind of rise to the top. And Texas Tech did a ton in the transfer portal. Arizona State has a bunch of guys back from a really good team last year. Kansas State's Kansas State, right? Yeah, I'm never expecting Kleiman not to have a good football team. BYU with Retzlaff
Yeah.
leaving, I'm skeptical of what they're going to be. But if they can get two in, that'd be pretty impressive because just looking at it on paper before the season, it seems unlikely. But the Big 12 is, and they still not using it. I don't know what Yormark's doing. It is the conference of competition, man.
Yeah.
The teams are all, when you look at the rosters, the teams are all pretty close. And that's why I think the argument can be made that it's the most entertaining league in college football just because you're going to get close game after close game after close game. But when you've got a league like that, usually teams are knocking each other off and no one's accumulating a tremendous record. But maybe it happens this year. Maybe there are a couple outliers in the Big 12 and they go to the playoff.
Yeah, and it's good to have a competitive conference where anyone can win on any week, but whenever you start, it's one thing if you've got 4 or 5 teams that are in the top 10 that are beating one another. It's different whenever you don't have anyone in the top 10 and you're beating up on each other. That can make things very difficult to get into the final playoff, but we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun season in the Big 12. My loser of the week, Scott Frost. Boy, he is now, for those of you that missed it, he is back at UCF as the head coach. And he had to have known that all the Nebraska questions were coming at Big 12 Media Day. He was asked what he learned from his time in Nebraska. And his answer was, quote, don't take the wrong job. Make sure you're working for and around good people. He also added, I said I wouldn't leave unless it was someplace you could win a national championship. I got tugged in a direction to try to help my alma mater and didn't really want to do it. It wasn't a good move. I'm lucky to get back to a place where I was a lot happier.
Whoo.
Ted, Frost just burning it down, huh?
He burned it down and then dropped a big barrel of gasoline on top of it.
What is he doing?
I think it is a reasonable assumption to say that there was a lot going on behind the scenes at Nebraska. I mean, make sure you're working for and around good people. Uh, that's crazy. I mean, make sure or you go to a place where you can win a national championship. Well, he won a national championship at Nebraska personally. So um, to say you can't win a championship there and the people that you work for and work around are not good people, that's wild.
I honestly think it's embarrassing for Scott Frost.
Yeah.
The lack of accountability, it's like the exact opposite of what I want to hear from a head coach. It's the exact opposite of what I want to hear from someone leading a group of men. He had a chance and he knew the questions were coming. He had a chance to take personal responsibility for his shortcomings there. He had a chance to say, hey, I learned that I still needed to improve as a coach. I needed to improve my leadership. He could have gone an X's and O's route and said, hey, I learned that my system wasn't a great fit for my alma mater. And we couldn't get the type of players, and that's on me. Like that, I just couldn't make it work. He could have said any of that. But instead, he appears to be blaming everyone else. Dude, I just think it's an embarrassing stance to take if you're Scott Frost. Like when you're the guy leading it, it's on you, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's on you to make it work. And it just sounds like he's making a bunch of excuses. I don't know. I was really, really surprised that he chose to go the route that he did.
Yeah. I I saw this comment and I can't remember if I saw it in as a comment on Twitter or if it was someone that texted our show yesterday, but someone said that, in reality, with how unsuccessful his tenure was there, the fan base actually gave him a lot of grace.
Oh,
And
I think everyone agrees with that. He got a pass. They were horrible, bro.
yes, and the comment went on to say, they gave him a pass. I mean, there was definitely criticism and all that, but when you turn around and burn it down like that, you got to be careful because I think there was a lot of people like you risk people airing dirty laundry whenever you do something like that. And I don't know what has gone on there and if there's anything there, but when you say make sure you're working for and around good people, uh
The
gotta be
rumors are the
careful.
rumors.
Yep. So I don't know. That's I thought that was an interesting take on it. Time will tell.
He was 16 and 31 at Nebraska.
Hmm.
And he wants to blame everyone else. They were 5 and 22 in one score games. I believe at one point they lost like 9 consecutive one score games.
It was hard to watch.
Hey, Ted,
Really
I got a
hard.
question.
Yeah.
Do one score games sometimes come down to coaching?
Always
Huh.
details. preparation.
Having your
Yeah.
guys ready for those moments.
Having your guys ready for situational football. Yep.
Also, like, no one forced you to take the job, man.
Right.
You're a grown man.
Yeah.
You could have said no. You could have said it's not the right time. But
Yeah.
you
What
took
did
the
he say?
job.
I got pulled. Was that what the quote
Yeah,
was?
like,
I got
oh,
tugged.
yeah, I got tugged. My former teammates, Tom Osborne, like they made me do it. Shut up, man.
Right.
You took the job and you weren't good enough. Just accept that. It takes some damn responsibility. Stop blaming everyone else.
Yep.
I went and looked at it, man. Nebraska has not experienced a ton of success since moving to the Big Ten, but Bo Pelini coached Nebraska in the Big Ten 2011 and 2014. They went 9-4, 10-4, 9-4, 9-4. That ain't bad.
Nope.
Hell, Mike Riley won more games twice than Scott Frost ever won in a season at Nebraska. Mike Riley, he was one of the strangest hires I can remember in recent college football history where everyone went, wait, what?
Yep.
And he had a season where they won 6, and he had a season where they won 9. Frost's best season was a 5-win season.
Hmm. And here's the thing. The the new Big Ten is a little bit different. Not much. Like if you look at Nebraska's schedule this year, it's pretty manageable. I the division Nebraska's been playing in has not been murderer's row for the most part. Right. It was the easy side of the Big Ten too. So yeah, I'm with you.
And you could say, hey, it was pre NIL, it was all this, but I don't care, man. Great coaches get it done.
Yep.
Great leaders of men get it done.
And he knew, if anyone knew like the landscape of the job that he was taking, it would have been Scott Frost.
He
All right.
knew what he was signing up for, and he's
Yeah,
making excuses for it after the fact.
that's right.
It's just, it's such a bad look, dude. And this is something we've talked about how many times? Like, as a player, you want to have that home to go back to.
Yeah.
And even though it did not go well for him at Nebraska as the head coach, he would always have a home there because he won a national championship as a quarterback at Nebraska.
He's in the Ring of Honor, which is a big deal at Nebraska. Or he was in the Ring of Honor.
That's the really hard
Has
part to
anyone ever
understand.
been ripped out of the Ring of Honor?
That's the really hard part for me to understand is why he went this route and why he took seemingly no accountability for how things went there. It's really strange, man. And in a weird way, and it is not a secret that I am a big Matt Rule fan. Talked about it a lot on here. But in a weird way, Scott Frost saying this stuff, it makes me want Nebraska to be good and to succeed. Like, I want Matt Rule to go out there and win like 9 or 10 games this year because Scott Frost handled this so poorly. I don't know if you can tell, Ted, but the stuff that Scott Frost said really rubbed me the wrong way.
Honestly, I'm sure it has happened, but nothing really comes to mind of a coach like saying, like being that strong about a job that he used to have when he's still working, right? Whenever you're still maintaining your reputation, and like those things trickle down. People use it against you. You don't want to go play for a guy like that. It doesn't take, whatever. It's just, it's very strange. And Rule is going to be asked about it. Probably first
Oh,
question he gets.
I cannot wait. I hope Matt Rule comes out guns blazing on Scott Frost.
I get he's going to say that hasn't been my experience. I think there's amazing people here to work with. I couldn't have picked a better. That's how you approach it, and he's probably going to hammer the nail in, right?
I I hope so. It just and I know there was like the AD situation, maybe wasn't great for Scott Frost, but to say like to insinuate that you didn't have good people around you, like just
Well,
think of all the people in that building and in that athletic department and that program that are still there that saw that quote and they're like, wait, uh, is he talking about us? Like that. I just I hate everything that man said about Nebraska.
hey, if you're talking about Trev Alberts, just say that.
Yeah,
Right?
come
He's
out and
not
say
there
it,
anymore.
man.
Nebraska fans are glad he's gone, right? Texas A&M fans, it sounds like wishes he was gone. Okay, so if that's what you're talking about, say that. Don't bury everyone. I don't know. It's wild. I like I said, I imagine there's going to be some fallout from it.
In my eyes, the only thing that came of this was I lost some respect for Scott Frost.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's coming away from it saying, "Yeah, Scott's right."
It, the last thing I'll say on it, watching Scott Frost, because I went and watched it. I was like, I need to make sure these quotes are right. I need to make sure this is what he said. And he did. I went and watched the clips. It gives me such a deep appreciation for the way that Bob Stoops handled everything.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from Bob when it came to taking accountability and not making excuses. The guy wrote a book called No Excuses. It's just, and it has the way that he handled success and failure has significantly shaped the way that I handle success and failure as a man. And I don't think, like, when you're in the moment, I don't think you realize that that's happening. And then you get later in life and you have kids and you're getting old and you have these new experiences and you go, okay, how should I handle these things? And I feel like I always revert back to the example that Bob Stoops set for me when I was playing for him in college.
That's right.
And it's it's kind of cool, man. I'm really glad that I played for Bob Stoops and not for Scott Frost. I know that.
No, I'm with you. And I, the last thing I'll say about it, it's not as good as what you just laid out there, but Scott Frost, he's a grumpy delivery guy. Like whenever he's at the mic, he's not a ball of energy. He's not positive. He's kind of got that grumpy style to him. You have to win a lot of games before you can ever show up and do that. There's some coaches that have that style, but they usually have a drawer full of rings in their desk, like they've won a ton of games. Uh, he he needs to be getting people excited about him, his program going to play for him, but he just doesn't give off the vibe of a guy you want to go play for at all.
But at least
And he
he's
could.
happier. At least he's happier, Ted.
Yeah. Does
I'm
it
glad he's
show?
happy. I really am. I'm glad he's back somewhere where he's happy, but man, just the exact opposite. Now, this is this quote, and I am how I am. If Scott Frost is still coaching and my kid is a college football player and he tries to recruit him, I'm gonna say no thanks, Scott. I'm just no thanks. We're not interested. Why? Well, do you remember Big 12 Media Days 2025? That's why. As
Well,
you
you
may
you told me make sure you're working for and around good people. You said it.
as you could tell, these comments really upset me. It just really upset me.